metal, the ridge caps, the siding, the paint, everything's looking great so far. Right now, these corners look terrible. I've got a plan for that, and I want to show you what I'm doing. I'm making these little corner caps out of metal, and I want to show you how I do it. For one, that drip edge, I've made it long and folded it, and that gives me something to shove this corner that I make up underneath of. I had these pieces left over of the drip edge where I cut them off, and I'm making these corner pieces out of that. I took this square and I had measured that, and I'm cutting them long, and I came up with an idea of doing 8 inches. So I'll cut it the 8-inch mark. Of course, I mark it with the square first, so I have a nice square cut. I mark it at the 6-inch mark because that's where I'm going to make my fold. I flip it up and I mark again. Then, because this stuff is as sharp as shop cat's claws, I use gloves. Doesn't mean I'm safe. I'm still Mr. Burnt, Bruised, and Bleeding. So don't do anything I do in my videos. Just watch me and look for things not to do. These are just the regular handheld tin snips. I'm not using the air shears on this because they're really short, little easy cuts. No sense in getting out the air compressor and all that with this one little thing. Now, I can take this before I cut it up again and go ahead and mark for my next piece. I want to try to be real gentle with it so I don't cut up my Sharpie. That's my 8-inch mark. I'll still have to mark for the 6-inch mark later. But then I'm going to take this, cut from the outside, and for my mark, part way from the outside, heading towards the corner here. Then I got to flip it over and find my mark. I don't know if you can see this on the camera good, but I'm trying to get down to that corner there, like that. And I come back, cut this little piece out. Not too much now. There we go. That little piece out of there. Don't want that on the ground. Now see what I've got there? Like a little V cut. But this one's pretty straight. That one's in an angle. I'm going to take this block here, wooden block I'm going to use for a wooden anvil, and I'm going to set this screwdriver that's been made into almost a chisel. It's a really dull chisel. I'm going to crease that, and then I'm going to gently crease along my mark, my 6-inch mark. See, not as gentle as I hoped. I'm going to have to get more gentle on that in future pieces. I'm folding that over. Try to get it just barely up past this line, like so. And now I'm going to crease that line and try to be more gentle with it than the other one. That wasn't that gentle, was it? Maybe if I choke up on the hammer, I can be more gentle. I'm holding to the outside of this so I don't crease too far in. And let's see if I was more gentle with it. Now, I still got a little bit of being a little too aggressive, but I can fold that. Get my finger under there to make sure I fold it in the right place, and then palm it. There we go. You see, I've got a nice little box here. Be careful, that's going to be a sharp edge. wood. That's better. Okay, so eventually I'll have to put a screw in that to really hold it. But so far, so good. Got this one. This one, however, I'll show you something. This one I made exactly like that one, with the short side over here and the wide side right there, which means I cannot use this. Hey, what is that? Look, it's that critter. Is it that critter? Hey critter, what's happening? Well, we had a visitation. We're in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. We got lots of critters around here. See, if I tried to put this there, then I'd have the short side right here, and that wouldn't cover the whole gap. So what I got to do with this is come around here and utilize this on this corner, and then the other two that I make for that corner and that corner, I'm going to have to remember to do it this way and fold this end. So I'm not going to put this up yet. I'm going to use this to lay on my table and look at it to make sure I fold on this end, not this end, so that I'll have two for these other two corners. And then you can see how it's critical to slip this up in and under the drip edge and under the fold here. I can come back later and put metal on this trim board here, and there's definitely going to be a piece of metal going over this, which is one of the last things I'll do. Those pieces of metal are sitting right here, and they look like this right here. That will sit on the top, and that will sit on the side, and it'll go all the way up to the ridge cap, covering this corner, most of that wood, all the way up to the ridge cap. I'll show you that in another video. My next video will either be something like that, or some of this trim, or building these doors, and I'll put the link in the corner, and the other link in the corner will be the playlist where I build this whole shed from ground, roof, everything, whole 9 yards, all in one playlist, and you'll get to discover whether I managed to meet my financial goals, which was to avoid paying over $7,000 to buy this, which would have necessitated financing it, which, you know, once you finance it, it's going to be 50% or 100% more, so it could have been as much as $14,000 by the time I finished paying for it. I'm trying to do that under a budget of $2,800. To see if I manage to do that, watch that playlist.